It says we are now live. I think we're live in the group. Let me just double check. Welcome to everyone who is here. I am so, I don't even know the emotion. I don't even know what I think of this last live stream right now, but I am so just grateful for everyone who is here with us live, who's going to be catching the replay, just all the incredible humans that have been a part of my Facebook ads story. And today is going to mark our final farewell live stream, our last little time together. And I'm just speechless. Speechless about it all. Okay, amazing. I can see us in the group, so that seems to be streaming live. Let me head back and grab the last questions. And as I do that, just a few housekeeping things. Officially, I'm going to be closing down and archiving the group tomorrow. I think tomorrow, I'm not going to get rid of it tomorrow. I'm just going to shut down the posting ability for a group, and I'll leave everyone in it. I believe you'll still be able to access the content in the group for the next little while. It will be going away, like all of the questions and conversations. So the one thing I will say is if I've given you a personalized Loom video feedback, I use Vimeo. So if you have a personalized Vimeo link for anything, those will still be active. So if you want to keep them, just make sure you bookmark it somewhere that isn't this group, because at a certain point, I will be just like getting rid of the group entirely without notice. So just make sure that tomorrow, once we go to shut it down, you get anything that you do want from this group. As for these live streams, I'll make sure that they're hosted in the members area so that they're accessible once the group is closed down. So don't feel like you have to rush and get through everything. They're going to be there for you and available. The game plan on my end as I transition, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the transition. I'm still so vague about what it is, just because, not that I'm nervous, but we'll see if it slips today. Maybe you guys can try and like get me to slip on what the new niche is somewhere in this live stream. But I'm just a little bit guarded with it. I toyed with the idea of having like a Telegram group or something where, as I'm setting all of these things live, which I'll be talking about in today's live stream, where I could just be sharing what's working, what's not, how I'm optimizing and split testing. So I toyed with having another transition offer as I'm moving to the new niche, but ultimately I have not greenlit that yet. Just because I'm like, okay, do I continue to share with the community, or do I just like put my blinders on for a hot second and all of my focus into this new thing? And so far, the second option has won out. Again, maybe you guys can convince me otherwise, but let me just answer. We have one question beforehand from Stacy, who wants to know about testing different offers with the money test to find the one that is the best to go out and optimize and scale. So she has several offers and is curious if she should actually test each one of them individually to see if there's any that are essentially giving you more per dollar spent as an output on the other end. So first off, I'm going to share that, and then I'm going to dive into my next journey and essentially step by step take you through the process that I've been through, and then kind of my game plan from here on out. So when it comes to testing offers with the money test, like my immediate answer to that, Stacy, is yes, test different things. I have a client right now who has different front end offers available, and we've been trying to optimize one for the last 5 months. But I have brought up to this client, hey, I know you have different entry points, and we've literally only run ads to the one. What if and I was literally contracted to focus on this specific funnel, but I floated the idea. I was like, what if you just let me test them all? Because if I can spend $1 over here and immediately make back 2 over on this one, my thought process is, well, why wouldn't I spend more time optimizing the funnel that's closer to success versus one that I'm spending $1 on over here and making 50 cents back, right? Like, to my brain, that doesn't compute because it's not the most efficient thing to focus on. So long story short, we slowly started to test new things. However, I'm happy to report we are finally, it's literally like 3 days of data, but we're like finally close to breaking even on this funnel that I've spent almost $100,000 on trying to optimize. So all of that to say, like, Facebook ads, guys, when we went through the money test and how to read the results at the end, like, that is the game. I will live and die by the game of Facebook ads, is just sitting there and like relentlessly optimizing each piece of the puzzle until it gives you the outcome that you desire. The reward for that is something like in my own business with that bro marketing article that I wrote in 2018. Can you believe it launched in 2018? But it continued to pay me dividends. It continued to compound for years and years to come. And it was still working until this year, which is 6 years later. And so that is the reward on the other side of really going through this process and optimizing the business along the way, right? So Stacy, yes, definitely go through and do different money tests with different funnels. If you have a new event that opens up and there's a price tag, if you have a new offer, if you have a new launch, if you have like, I always start with the money test process, no matter what I'm doing. It's my like, this is where I start. Usually, depending on how much I'm spending, I can find out the results of something within a day or two. And then as soon, like, everything goes into that dashboard of mine. Like, every single client that I have, you can open up that dashboard view and know exactly how things are performing. I live and die by that, because learning to read those numbers is going to be the thing that like you can optimize the hell out of the business from. Okay, what if you don't have the organic content for a new offer? One, we'll kind of be talking about that. Two, I think we covered that on our first live stream. So the ad creative Q&A live stream, one of the scenarios was, hey, you don't have any content. Here's how I would go and create that content. You know what? I'm actually going to, can you follow up with me, Stacy, just in case I forget? Because on the live streams, my brain's going a million miles a minute. But in another program that I'm a coach in, I shared with them my new content creation process, because I hate staring at a blank page. Like, honestly, I'm an optimizer, not a start from scratcher. So when I go to create new ads, new content for something, I go through this process. I think William also asked a similar question. So I'm going to go see if I can steal it from that program and bring it to everyone over here. And it'll just go through my process of how I come up with ad creative for something not brand new, but like something that I've talked about in email, or I've talked about in my DMs, or I've written a sales page for. So definitely remind me so I can go try and follow up with that after. Okay. Let me share my process about this new offer. So for just a little bit of context and backstory, about, what is it, December? About 2 months ago. So like literally not even that long ago. Wait, 3 months ago, because it was September. Yeah. So about 3 months ago, I started playing with ChatGPT more than I had been before. Like, I really hadn't been messing with it. I was like, copywriting is sacred. No machine could ever do anything as well as I do. Like, I was 100% that person against AI in general. But then my workload over the last little while, as I was working on my renovation project and just other things that I needed cash flow for, my workload and level of deliverables had increased. And I was like, oh my God, there's so much to write. There's so much to do. During that time period, like I produced a ton of podcast episodes for a client. We rewrote full email sequences, landing pages, book a call pages, like ads galore. There was just so much writing going on. And I don't have an agency anymore. So like the private client work that I was doing, like legit Bond was doing it. And so I just had been diving into utilizing ChatGPT more, right? And my biggest discovery through that process is the output it creates is just a result of how you like ask it questions, how you give it enough context for it to have meaningful output in general. So just Lindsay, you'll have access to the course content forever. It'll be on Thinkific for a little while as I transition it off. Sorry to go back just to some housekeeping stuff because I didn't clarify that. It'll be on Thinkific. Then I'll be sending it out to everyone. So you'll have constant access to it, right? Like this updated version of the program is not going anywhere. I'll host it somewhere else. I'll send out access for everyone. Just this bonus pop-up Facebook group is shutting down. So going back to the AI thing. So I start interfacing with it so differently and I'm blown away by how much I can output. And so then I had this grand epiphany that had happened on the most wild vacation that I went to. It was like a friend's birthday, part retreat, part like rejuvenation, restorative just trip. It was amazing. And that was the moment that I had this download of, okay, I think it's time in my career to pivot towards something new. And that is this hobby funnel that I'm going to be working on. If anyone's not familiar with the term of a hobby funnel, it is essentially an industry of hobby, right? So like people who fish are a hobby industry. My friend who quilts, she has a pattern that is available online, and then she's creating an online course in the quilting niche, right? Like the brand that I am a profit share partner in for the cookbook with a chef, like the baking industry is a hobby niche, right? So like hobby funnels is kind of the affectionate term for working in a more hobby related niche. I'm going on like a big rabbit hole before I actually like share with you guys how I'm like launching this new hobby funnel. But for those of you who don't know, I actually went to school for fashion design. So I ended up in marketing, actually ended up dropping out of fashion design. Fun fact for those who don't know me. I ended up dropping out of fashion design a few years in, but that wasn't before, or that wasn't until after I had taken color theory courses. And I have always been in love with sewing. I used to make prom dresses and wedding dresses. I used to sell pants and belts in high school. Like I grew up in the craft world. And then I found online business and just got so obsessed with online business, completely forgetting that I had this entire other skill set over here that I could have pulled from years ago. And I just ended up getting clients online doing their marketing. So it's like I fell into this industry and I fell into this niche. And I had forgotten my like creative roots, right? So on this big trip, this big, friend's birthday retreat that we were on, I had the epiphany of, oh my gosh, I have put that hobby, that side of me, that creativity on hold this entire time. And since my daughter was born, I started for her baby shower and her parties, like getting really interested in planning and like decor and design again. And so everything just kind of came together. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I am meant to test every single thing that I've learned about ads. I am meant to test everything that I've learned about optimizing sales funnels from scratch for all of these clients who I've helped them build They're incredible businesses on the side. Not on the side, like I've helped them build their incredible businesses on top of my own business. And so I just had this big epiphany of like, oh my gosh, I am meant to go back to these roots. Like it is time. I am so inspired, so fired up. I haven't felt so creative and passionate about going down into this new niche that I have in years, like probably since I was producing the bro marketing article. Like that's when I felt super creative. Actually, no, that's not true. When I redid the whole program, like every single time I was scripting the program and working on content creation. And I don't know if you guys know, but every single line of the program is teleprompted. Like it's intentional. I wrote a book out of that because previous versions of it was just me talking like this to the screen, which we know can be hard to follow and implement. So like the hours of dedication that I spent going through this program line by line and intentionally designing an experience from start to finish, like all of those moments of feeling creative, I realized that I could apply it to this new hobby funnel. So I'll stop and pause right there before we transition into how I'm going to do it, what I'm going to do. And I just want to share a message for any of you who have felt burdened, burnt out, like you weren't on the right pathway. Maybe like, especially for those of us in the, and I'm going to call myself out, like the marketers marketing to marketers about marketing niche, right? Like, sure, we fall into this niche because we're helping people, we're achieving outcomes, we're sharing what's working. But like, if there is a calling on your heart to return to something that you forgot that you are skilled in, like, let this be permission for you to know that it's okay to pivot. It is okay. It took me far longer than I care to admit to get to the point where I could say to myself, like, hey, Bond, you spent all of this time refining this program and you're just going to pivot and leave it behind. The answer is yes, right? But like that took me a long time to be able to mentally come to that conclusion. So if any of you are feeling just on your heart that there's a skill set that you want to revive, that there's something new that you want to try, like, please let me be that permission slip if that's what you're looking for. So what am I doing? How am I doing it? After I had this grand epiphany, it was time to be like, okay, if I got to build a business from scratch, how am I going to do it? I'm going to share my screen here and pop it up. Let me know if you guys have any questions, comments, reflections on this. Lindsay said, yeah, when would the direct support end? So direct support will end tomorrow, to clarify, because prior to this, there was no, it was the DIY program. So there was no support offered with it, but looking at our carrier, I believe we're waiting for a response. I don't have that. So let me dive in. I actually don't know where that response is. So I will definitely go and look and get it. So excited for you. That's major. Ironic. I went to MBA school and now I'm a style coach, literally opposite path. I love that for you. Yeah, color theory. I feel like I could talk to you about that all day, Stacy. I used to, totally unrelated, in fabrics class, I used to have this like little magnifying glass that would go, and we would take a needle and we would literally count the threads in an inch so that we could get a thread count of something. So like that's nerdy shit that I absolutely love. Okay, so screen sharing coming right up. I am going to take you through the process of what I have done so far. There we go. This is going to look super just basic as I talk about it on the screen. And then I saw Laurel Portier do this cute, like, black it out so you actually can't see the next part. So I'm going to use that in this sharing. So what did I do first in this process? The very first thing, so I identified the new niche that I want to go into. I identified the hobby skill set that I have, that I've been cultivating. Low key, I didn't know that I had been unknowingly doing research for the last year, because as I was learning to like set these things up, I was in related Facebook groups trying to learn the techniques, the hacks, the what if this doesn't work? How do you do that? So I had been gathering information in these Facebook groups to give me a baseline understanding about this industry. And so what I observed is that in the industry that I'm going into, there are a lot of people who offer the service of what I will be teaching, but there's not a lot of people that are teaching it. Out of the very few that are teaching it, they don't understand internet marketing. So like their landing pages are super rudimentary. Their functionality, when you go to their link in bio, like it just kind of takes you on this wild goose chase here, there, and everywhere. So the first thing I did was I was unknowingly doing research, and then I spotted the opportunity. I was like, that's the thing that I'm going to teach. So as soon as I knew that, I actually defined my customer avatar in depth. Now, I put a little comment here that I actually used Amy Yamada's Ideal Client Handbook tool. I'm going to add the caveat. It was $497. I got access to it as a member, like we're in a mastermind together. And so it's not a tool that I necessarily would I pay $497 to go through that process again? I mean, I did get, I don't know, I did get a 40-page like document of what my ideal client avatar looked like. So did that speed up the process? Yes. But are there other ways to like granularly define your customer avatar, especially with the AI tools that we have out there? Yes, as well. But regardless, I defined my customer avatar. I figured out what are their goals, what are their pains, what are their aspirations, what are the things that they're looking, what outcomes are they looking to create, what gaps are there between the skill set or like the thing that they want and the skills that they have. I just kind of took some time to get to know these people, but leverage ChatGPT, but leverage tools to speed up that process. So that I could feed that all as a prompt into ChatGPT. So defining my customer avatar, there's so many exercises out there that literally any one of them would work at this part of the process, but it's like, who am I speaking to and what exact outcome am I helping them create? Get crystal clear. And like, I'm gonna stop the share for a second because I used to fucking hate when courses are like, start at the basics and define your ideal avatar. I hated it. But that's why when I did it with AI this time, I was like, in a day, I had such a profile built out of this person that then I could design my sales page to speak directly to them, right? Like directly to them. No fluff, no like vagueness. It's like, here's the outcome that I'm going to help you create here for this specific person, right? So like my avatar is a parent, primarily a mom with younger kids who host parties for them, right? So is it a baby shower? Is it a birthday? Is it a bar mitzvah? Like whatever the party is, there needs to be a party or a celebration involved in this process. So that is the person, and the person that I'm defining spends X amount, but they won't spend X amount of what people are charging for the service to be provided to them, right? So it's like some people will go out and pay for somebody to just come in and create that outcome, but these moms are actually going to create, like they're going to pay to learn the skill that they can leverage for each future celebration. It's so hard to talk about something without being like crystal or like without just giving all the specifics. Any guesses? Like, let's throw some guesses in the chat of what you think this new niche is going to be. Um, but like I hated when everyone else was like, start with your niche. But the only reason we're starting with our niche is like, who are we writing this to? And how are we going to get them to buy it? Like, those are the questions that I want to start with. Because if we don't know who we're writing it to, we can't define how they're then going to buy. So, like, as long as you shift your mindset to, hey, I just need to know who this copy is speaking to, not like, I don't know, even in my head, I'm like, they drive an SUV. They probably have like a baseline luxury model because that's the type of mom. I know that they kind of want to show off, but then they're like not spending the full have other people do it themselves. They're still like trying to save money in different ways. So it's like those things are important because then you can speak to them, right? Like, are they aspiring to do parties like the Kardashians? Are they inspired to have like lots of activities and games and like what kind of party, right? Like these are things that are super important. I know Sarah's actually heard because I have shared in the mastermind that we're in what it is. So I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to spoil it. So the first thing that I did was define the client avatar so that I could get clarity for those next things. Okay. So then, there we go. How do I get this on the screen? So then the next thing that I did is that, oh shoot, there we go. I went through, there we go. Okay, let me just double check, make sure this is back on the screen. Is it? Can somebody give me, oh, we might just be delayed a little bit. Okay, I think we're just delayed a little bit. But the next thing that I did is, so it's like once I got crystal clear on my customer avatar, as you can see here, I used the ideal client handbook. I just popped it in. And here's what I asked it. I was like, hey, oh, wait, I was like, the screenshot I thought totally gave it away. I said, review my ideal client handbook. Remember, this is 40 pages of like what my humans want to know. They're motivated by this. They're also struggling with that. Can you brainstorm 3 offers that would speak directly to this motivation and provide a solution to their pain points? So the ideal client handbook had like motivations and pain points they're experiencing. Consider what benefits to highlight and how to price and package your offer in a way that feels aligned. So the second thing that I did here was offer brainstorming. I'm like, okay, cool. I know that this is my avatar. The next thing I need to do is figure out what I think my avatar is going to pay for an outcome. And as I went through this part of the process, I will, if anyone needs that prompt, I can go back and find it and put it in the screen share chat afterwards, but I'll have to grab it. The next thing, what was I saying? So the thing that I realized with this avatar is I currently sell a program, it's $897. It's been upwards of $24.97. It used to be almost $4,000. Like it has been a larger price point. And so I realize that the model of the industry that I'm going to be going into is quite different. They are not going to pay $897 for the outcome that I'm going to give them. It's not worth that to that avatar. So what I need to figure out is an offer that is going to be aligned and a price point that's going to be aligned for this avatar. So for me, I figured out that the price point is likely on the front end product going to be $67 to $97. So the offer brainstorming that I asked it to do was essentially, okay, cool, help me see ways that I can serve this audience in whatever format it's going to help me brainstorm. So I put those prompts in and ChatGPT came back with different ways that I could serve that community. And after having done this for so long, certain things felt good and certain things didn't. And I felt intuitive about this, but I was like, I don't think that's going to work for this community. So once ChatGPT started to give me not a blank page, I could then use my own personal discernment to say, yes or no to this, and then continue to guide it with prompts to say, I like that idea. Can you give me more? What about this? What if it had that? How would you structure this? Like, I really like to look at my ChatGPT usage in the last little while as collaborative, right? Like, I'm asking it to summarize options for me. I'm like pointing to one and being like, that, let's go deeper on that. But remember, it has to have a price point between $67 to $97 on the front end. Let's like play with that idea and go down that rabbit hole, right? So really just getting the offer brainstormed to narrow in on the one that you're going to start with. Okay, so avatar, offer. Those are the first two things. Let me pull my screen back up again. The next thing that I can do, go away. I think I'm sharing. Yeah. So then the next thing I do once I have the offer in place is I just ask it to write a first draft of the sales page. So this was literally my prompt. Write a 2,000 to 3,000 word sales page for that offer. It then, like the prompt, write a 2,000 to 3,000 word sales page for that offer. Let me go just pop that into our chat. Prompt. Right, a 2,000 to 3,000 word sales page for that offer. This part of the process. So now I have my avatar, I have my potential offer. Now I have my sales page. That part of the process took me about 2 days worth of deep work, right? Sorry, the sales page writing. So it gives me an output of a sales page. It's terrible. It's ChatGPT. I didn't give it any information. I didn't share with it my last sales page. I didn't they didn't have anything other than the avatar and the offer. So once I got their sales page like first draft, then I took 2 days of my own deep work time and my copywriting experience to think through the process, to improve it, to refine it, to continue to have back and forth conversations with ChatGPT. I then, on the other end of it, had my first draft of the sales page. That was the moment that I started getting hype. Like I saw the vision at that moment. I was like, oh my God, yes, I see it. This is such a good offer. And then at that moment, it felt like the entire offer suite kind of downloaded into my brain. So I was like, okay, this is the core offer that teaches them the base skill. And then we could have different supplementary offers in the future. Maybe I bring in other experts in this niche and like we design some really cool things for the higher end side of the equation. Like I started really getting hype about this whole industry and being able to share this information with other people. So then hold on, let me go to the next one. Once I had the first draft of the sales page, actually, no, now that I think about it, I did this next prompt that I'm pulling up right now. I did this at the same time. So I actually had them write a first draft of the sales page. Then I used the next prompt using that sales page as inspiration, write the course outline. I'll pop that prompt in there as well. So I did both of those things at the same time. And then I went for 2 days worth of deep work. And so for me, that was probably 4.5 hours, like plugged in, no distractions, sitting there writing. At the end of the day, like my sales page is not even completely long and drawn out. I think it's like 5 pages right now in Google Docs. So there's still some fleshing out to go on it, but I was like, okay, I see the vision for the offer. I now know exactly who I'm selling it to and the exact outcome that I'm selling, right? Like so clear on the outcome, not using vague words, not using like something that they're going to be like, what? Right? Like starting with outcomes and not even big outcomes, right? Like when it comes to teaching marketing, for example, success with Facebook ads, it takes copywriting skills and graphic design skills and videography skills and text skills and automation skills and did I say graphic design skills and funnel building skills and Zapier like connection skills, and it takes Google Sheets skills. Like we need to have all of these skills layered together. And so the outcome that we talk about when we're selling more B2B, it's so grand, right? But what I did with this hobby funnel is I got specific as hell, right? So that we can speak to the exact person, right? So I haven't even thought about the ad side of the equation right now, but I know that I'm going to be selling this with ads because like we'll get to that in just a minute. But now I have a first draft. I know exactly what the course is going to be outlined after that first draft was made. So I did the sales page. Then once the sales page was done, fed it to ChatGPT, asked it again, hey, now using this finished sales page as inspiration, write my course outline. Then I was like, okay, I like this. I don't like this. This needs to come first because I've done this before, right? Just like you guys, we now know how to develop curriculum, another skill set that we have to learn as marketers. So I put the things that are like, yes, no, maybe so, this, here, there, into the course outline. So it's like, cool, I know who I'm talking to. I know what the offer looks like. I know what the sales page looks like. And I know what the course outline looks like. All of those decisions were made. Then the last thing that I made a decision on is, okay, now we need to actually think about the average order value and the LTV planning so that I can invest in ads. So that I know that $1 spent on the front end is going to create the biggest outcome on the back end. I'm going to come off screen share just for this point because I want to go down this little rabbit hole. So many of us get ourselves stuck because we're like known for a specific thing or we teach a specific thing and we haven't given thought to the economics of that business model, right? Like we don't prior to starting a new funnel strategy think through the entire economics from start to finish, right? Like sometimes we just see somebody being like, hey, that person's funnel who is a self-liquidating offer over here, and then an order bump there, and then an immediate upsell that then goes to a 30K mastermind. It all works, right? Like that's how people sell us these online like sales processes and economic models. And we're like, yeah, it works. I'm like being facetious here, but I have a dear friend and client that I always tease because she comes to me with whatever new program she's in. And she's like, this is how we're building our entire business. And I'm like, is it? I'm so glad because we've been trying to optimize this over here and like design a business model that works. I'm so glad that this new person just came out and blew up our entire game plan. And I know the numbers, like I've seen the numbers, the behind the scenes, the math, the like how much it costs to acquire a click in different industries. And then all of the standard conversion rates. The money test dashboard is how my brain works when it comes to ads. So it's like most of us are designing businesses, not taking into account the economics on top of it. And then we're like, it's really tough to scale this business. It's like, yeah, because the business is not designed to scale that way. So really for me, I've spent so much time, and it's why I didn't get around to launching it during this live cohort, because I'm still in the like strategizing, the planning, the like economic phase of it all to get that front end right, even before I test it with ads, right? Like I haven't spent $1 planning all of this, but like my brain is thinking through. I'm like, okay, if my offer is going to be $67 to $97, I know I'm going to test that price point, right? I'm going to see if my conversion rate is impacted at each of those price points, probably at a few price points in between them. So if the conversion rate massively decreases, if I go up to 97, but when I put it down to 67, it improves, but here's where you have to think. It's like, well, at what conversion rate of 67 am I actually making the same money at 97, even if I have a lower conversion rate? Like my brain's doing all of that math automatically. And then it's thinking, okay, what kind of order bump am I going to put into this offer? What kind of one-time upsell makes sense for somebody who's wanting to create the outcome? And I'm thinking through the lens of what makes sense to include in the course because they're buying that outcome, and what is like a nice to have for a certain portion of people, but doesn't leave them hanging if they don't get it. Because I absolutely hate things that are like, well, I just gave you this one little piece of the puzzle, but you're missing this piece of the puzzle over here. And if you don't have that, that's not going to work. Like, that's just not me, right? So I'm really trying to strategically make all of those things make sense so that my average order value on the front end can be as high as possible. Then here's like a little zhuzhing I'm doing on the back end. I'm like, okay, if our average order value is this, I know how much I am spending at scale in this niche over here to get a $37 purchase, to get a $44 purchase, to get a $67 purchase. Like I know those numbers so I can make estimates in this niche. And I'm like, I'm still going to need to increase my average order value or my lifetime like customer value on the back end to make the economics of this make sense for ads, or else I'm only going to have to rely on organic because I won't be profitable enough to invest into ads, right? So for me, I'm like, okay, I teach them this skill. They now have this skill. They're going to be able to deploy this skill for their family. Oh, but there is a subsection of the people that would actually pay for this skill as a service. So then does it make sense to teach people how to start a very small part-time business offering this skill set to other people? That could be the back end LTV increaser, right? And so for me, I was going down that rabbit hole of, okay, what would somebody pay for that skill set that would then make them money? Let's be honest, like Bond's going to be B2B to her core. Like everyone's like, Bond, you'll be back in this industry. And I'm like, I don't think so, but I'm not calling it. I'm going to go off on a little detour in the meantime, but you guys, my DMs are always open. I'm here. So I was thinking about that. And then another thing that I'm thinking about is LTV. So is there a recurring element that I can add to this so that people are getting support, that they're getting feedback? There's like feedback loops for them. Is there a community aspect? Like what could I do to keep the cash register ringing in between ad sales so that my LTV is increasing month over month so that I can spend more money on the front end ads? Like I'm just constantly thinking through the economics of all of this before committing to launching it and doing the work, right? Like it's a lot of freaking work to set up a sales funnel. It's a lot of freaking work to do this. And so really we just want to position ourselves as best as possible to get success based on the things that we know. And like, I just have the vantage point of seeing behind the scenes of so many businesses. So I'm going to do this process. I'm going to take the time to set myself up from success at the start. So to clarify, we found out who we're speaking to. We found out what we're offering them. Then we wrote a sales page. Then we wrote a course outline. Once we had that, we determined, okay, I know what I'm selling to who. Let's just make sure the economics of that all make sense. That brings me to my present day. So now I have half of the course written. Again, used AI. I have the paid version. So like when I drive, I literally just press the microphone and talk to it. And I'm like, okay, for this lesson, here's what they need to know. Here's what we're going to focus on. Here's why. Here's what they need to avoid. Like, here's the outcome. This is right? Like I'm just going through and dictating my course. Then I tell ChatGPT, I'm like, can you turn that into a draft of that lesson? And then I ask it, what am I missing? What would make it better? Is there anything that is making it worse that we need to remove, right? Like I just constantly refine it until I get a first draft from AI, and then I take that first draft. Again, hate staring at a blank screen, love copy editing. I'll take that draft, and then I'm like, okay, now that I have this outline, let me massage the rest, turn it into the way that I speak. Awesome, right? So I've got half the course now written. I am almost at the ready to film the course point, but what I think I'm going to do before I'm kind of up in the air on this is like, do I film the course, then create the sales page, then launch ads immediately? Or do I launch ads to a wait list and then film, like as soon as I know it's going to sell, then immediately go and film it because I've already got it scripted? I personally just think I would feel better having the course ready for the first person that bought it so I can start getting immediate feedback. And I've done the course like filming process so many times that that's not an unknown to me, right? So that sounds fun, exciting. So I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to film the course, put this sales page live, and immediately start testing cold traffic. So my money test, I don't have a warm audience. So I'm going to do a cold traffic test to the most specific audience that I can think of, right? So I think we had some guesses there. If anyone else has a guess on what niche that I'm going into, feel free to let me know. Okay, so there was one guess. For the first time in internet marketing addresses the elephant in the room about high ticket and B2C hobbies. Totally. Like this hobby niches are hard to make work. Launch then film. Oh, we have an opposite. Launch then film. I like it. See, I feel too much pressure that I'm like, somebody's waiting for something. I gotta go. And I don't want to, like, this is the opposite energy and feeling that I want to have. So that's why I'm like, film, have it ready, get it in there, then launch, because then they can just start consuming it right away. And so, where was I going with all of that? So I'm going to launch it to cold traffic ads. For me, I'm going to try and find, I don't know, moms of a certain age or moms of kids of a certain age. I'm going to see if there's like party related something interest in there. Like I'm highly going to have to rely on interest targeting because I don't have anything else to rely on. I don't have custom audiences. Therefore, I don't have lookalike audiences. And could I go broad? Yes, but I don't have any pixel data. So like going broad, I would probably spend a lot of money for the algorithm to find the type of person to purchase for the first time. And I'm like, I think if I just massage it in this direction, I could probably save myself some money. So I'm going to do the money test to a cold audience of interest targets, maybe some behavioral targets if some of those are left. I honestly have not even looked at my Facebook interests yet. I'm just like so confident in this whole process that I'm like, yep, I will figure that out when I get to that step. And I don't overthink it to stop myself from taking action. Okay. So the next thing, moms who like Hobby Lobby. Yes. Yes, that's a good one. So Hobby Lobby, Michael's, like now we're thinking, right? So like interests along that pathway. You guys have Party City. I don't know if that's an American brand, Party City, stuff like that. So once I then start my cold traffic test, I'm literally going to create an ad that has never been a piece of content before. Okay. So it's like, nope, I don't know what's going to perform best. So actually this answers a question of William's that he had earlier today, and then kind of piggybacks off of our first ad creative Q&A. I don't have any ad creative in this niche. So once I go find that other piece of content from that other program and I show you guys how I think through content, I'm literally just going to take the sales page and create a post just like I would for my Facebook page. Oh, charcuterie boards. Oh, I think that's actually going to be my next niche, because let me tell you how good at charcuterie boards I am. How come I was never this confident in the ad space, right? You talk about crafts, you talk about like design stuff, and I'm like, yes, I'm so skilled at that. But ads, I'm like, I don't know, my God, am I doing this wrong? You can just tell that I'm built to go into this hobby niche. Okay, what was I saying? So when I'm testing to these cold audiences, I'm literally just creating content that I think will work. And then I'm turning it into an ad and I'm letting the ad dictate if it's successful or not. So the first thing that I'm looking at is the click-through rate. I want to know what percentage of people are clicking, right? And I will likely test the same piece of content with different hooks. I just did this recently for a client. We split test 5 different headlines on the same piece of content, and the click-through rates were insanely different between the two of them, or between the 5 different pieces. And I'm like, duh. I know everyone's like, split test this and split test that, but like you can systematically with ads and landing pages go through and test one thing at a time, one variable. Don't test it all, just test one thing. So for my piece of content, it might be testing the headline first. Or maybe I'm not even testing the ad first. Maybe I'm testing the sales page headline first, based on the conversion rate of those link clicks into purchases. Now that I think about it, I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. I am going to test the ads first, because if I can take a 0.5% click-through rate to a 2% click-through rate, I can get 4 times the traffic for the same amount of money. So of course, I'm going to try and optimize that first front end by testing the headline. And then once I have a better performing headline, I'm going to test maybe a different body copy angle. And I'm going to test this. I'm going to test an audience. I'm going to test that until I'm getting traffic, like a steady flow of traffic that is converting to purchases. Now, if I got 100 people to that sales page, if I got 200 people to that sales page with high click-through rates and I don't get a sale, I'm going to stop testing my ads and I'm going to start testing my sales page very systematically in the exact same way. I said this at the start of the video. It was how I recently, for a client, doubled the conversion rate and doubled it again, and finally hit profitability on a funnel that has just been giving us a fight. Like I line by line, section by section, started testing different things to see if the conversion rate to purchases increased, right? And so I'm going to just repeat that process until my money test dashboard is showing this amount of dollar in is equaling this amount of dollar out. And it's like, as soon as that economic model is profitable, you can start to scale up. As soon as you've identified which ad creatives are working, start spending more per day, right? Start getting them in front of new audiences. The challenge for everything, for every single funnel, for every single client that I've had, and why I'm super glad to be focused on this just for myself in a niche that's not marketing to marketers about marketing, is that it's going to break along the way, right? Like our first cold audiences might resonate with this specific headline and this specific angle, but you can only scale that specific headline and that specific angle so far before it stops working. Right? Like we can there's only so much opportunity. What's it called? It's like the point of diminishing returns. Like if you try and go so hard, so fast, your creative's going to fatigue like crazy. And so then you just have to repeat that process. What is the new piece of creative? What is the new headline? What's working? What's not? Cut the losers. That's where, like, at scale. So remember, strategy is about like figuring out the throughput of your current sales process. But once that's done, it's not done forever. We literally just continue to repeat that process week in and week out, right? Like we optimize it week in, week out, week in, week out. Now the work compounds. Like that is the reason that my Bro Marketing article literally was able to produce results until this day, is because the economics of it worked, because like the throughput of it was just the way that it needed to be for profitability. And of course, on top of this, if I focus on organic, it's going to reduce my reliance on ads and increase my profitability over here. So it's like you constantly need to be thinking of the whole thing. But I'm going to be building this business to lead with ads, to be scalable with ads, so that I can control the pace of revenue coming in. And I'm not spending all of my time constantly like churning out brand new content to be able to support this funnel. right? Like I want this to truly be not passive. I hate that name because I'm going to put a lot of work into it, but I'm going to put a lot of work into creating an asset that works for me, leveraging these tools like AI, automations, like different paid traffic. Like, think about it. We get to spend $1 to say, go find more people most likely to buy this thing. What kind of universe do we live in right now? This is a wild. Like, my aspiration in life, let me just end with this. My aspiration in life is to become a woman of leisure. That's what I want. I just want to craft all day. I want to do things that inspire me. I want to go get my nails done. I want to get my hair extensions in. Like, I just want to do things for the joy. Massages. Oh my God, I love massages. Spending days at the spa, masterminding. I want to go to a country club. Like, this is the vision that I have for my life. I am a woman of leisure at my core, but I had not previously set up my business model in a way to create that outcome. And so this whole process, this whole declaration that I am going through is like, I am ready to design a business that creates the outcomes that I am intending for it, not only like the economic model of that business, but the lifestyle that that business can create for me. And so to do that, I had to make some tough decisions because at the end of the day, I have so much fun talking about ads. I have so much fun talking about numbers. I like live for when you guys have small incremental gains in your sales process and new epiphanies. Like that shit lights me up. And teaching Facebook ads is really fucking hard. There is a lot of skills that you need to have really good success with this. And sometimes our sales processes just are not set up to create that outcome because there's some type of skill deficiency or just copywriting deficiency. There's a breakdown at a lot of points of the funnel. And I have spent a lot of time like supporting humans in figuring that out. And I am ready to support humans on doing things so much easier. This is what I say. If you can tie a shoe, you will be able to create the outcome that my next program will promise. So I will leave it at that. Is there any questions on how technically I'm going about this from the ad side of the equation? Again, we find out who to sell to, we find out how much to sell to them or find out who to sell to, what to sell them, how much we can create value for them to economically get back in return to make our ads make sense. Then we test the shit out of cold traffic. We systematically test every single part of our sales process. The only part that I didn't talk about is like, I'm really big on collecting feedback data. There's not surveys anymore in the program, but like years ago, once you went through it, to unlock the next module, you had to put in feedback of each module. You had to rate it. You had to tell us your biggest epiphany. You had to tell us like, how much you thought you learned. And so then I took that information and improved. Like this is the 5th version, like the 5th and a half. We had like a 5.1 version of the program. So it's really seen a lot of iterations. And so I'm a big believer of, again, iterating until you get to the asset level and then just letting it run in perpetuity in like the most elegant, non-complex way, where you're not constantly blowing up your business every 6 seconds because you realize that the business that you designed is actually not economically viable in this landscape because Facebook ads are expensive or because nobody will actually help you build a community for as little as you want to pay them. Or, hey, maybe you don't have the skill set to hire out to $5 an hour Filipino VAs that used to be all the rage back in the day. Like, maybe, and I say skill set because like most people don't even know how to delegate. Most people aren't giving instructions well enough. Most like, you know what I mean? Like there's just so many nuanced things that there's just so many lessons that I like literally want to share with this industry in general. But I'm going to go on a sabbatical. I'm going to go build some hobby funnels. My DMs are always open. Please know that. I'm still here. I'm just not going to be talking about ads for the next little while. I'm just so appreciative of everyone here. If there's no comments or questions about the funnel, I'll just end with some appreciation and gratitude for the journey, because I always say, I didn't build strategy. All of you did. All of you built this with your questions, your feedback, your reflections, your sharing context around what's going on, what's working, what's not, who's saying this, who's teaching that. Like, the community built this experience, and like, I am just so freaking grateful to have had the opportunity, have had the opportunity to be a part of your journey along the way. And this is my current evolution. Will I be back? We never know. But I'm going to go take a beautiful sabbatical, build a hobby funnel, go spend some time with my daughter, go be a woman of leisure. And I invite all of you to do the same if you feel so inspired to do it. And please keep me posted on your journey. Like, just because I'm not teaching ads doesn't mean I don't want to know the epiphanies that you have or the things that you're up to. So please know I'm not shutting down my Facebook page. That's going to be there. Hit me up if you ever have any just insight to share or things. I think my email is going to be around for the next little while. So yeah, I just appreciate all of you. I will make sure that everyone gets all of the content. We'll make sure you are all taken care of. Know that that is just so important to me. You are also important to me. And I believe in you guys just going out there and figuring this out, right? Like, we learned this whole industry, we have learned to speak a different language and create money out of thin air because we are adding value to other people's lives. Like, what kind of world do we live in? This is phenomenal and wild. And I'm just so grateful to have had a part in your journey. I will leave it at that, friends. Thank you for coming to our final live stream.